My guest today is high performance coach. He's an RAF veteran, Royal Air Force here in the United Kingdom, and a global transformation leader who has helped over 90,000 people break through personal and professional limits. And now he's busy working with chief execs, with founders, with top performers around the world. And what he does is he leads from identity, not ego, and helps to create impact for these people without them having to burn out. He's also the author of the international bestseller, Free to Lead. Welcome to Leadership That Sells. This is a podcast about the real conditions under which leadership and sales actually work and where they quietly break down. What I do is I try to talk to founders, to chief execs, sales leaders, operators who've had to make decisions when effort was high, pressure was real, and the usual stuff didn't quite fit. We're not here about trading slogans. There's no frameworks here. Well, maybe there's a few. We're trying to surface patterns, things that consistently create momentum. Talk about what gets in the way, and then what experienced leaders eventually learn to stop doing as much as anything else. If you are responsible for results, not just ideas, you are absolutely in the right place. So Will Steele, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
It's a pleasure, Paul. Great. It's great. Learned so much more about your show from your introduction.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
In your international best-selling book, Free to Lead,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You talk about, I mean, in the work you've done as well, you talk about identities as like a facade, okay? This is a mask. How do you tell the difference between something that's useful and a mask that is limiting you? So you put on a mask to say, okay, this is who I am today. I'm bravely facing the situation versus something that's holding you back.
Right. Well, it's a very good question. So I can't get inside your head and I can't see from inside your eyeballs what you're seeing.
It's probably a good thing sometimes, I tell you.
Right. Well, exactly. See, now you're pointing at what we can get out of your way. So the doubting, am I really good enough? Can I pull this off? You know, everybody in your company, if you're the founder, looking at you for the ideas, looking at you for the confidence, looking at you for, so it's like, well, I've got to put this act on. I cannot not put this act on. I've got to be strong. I've got to be assertive. I've got to be, you can fill in the blanks, what you've learned over your lifetime that you need to be. But that's not you, really. Now, it works. It produces results. So it's not right out. So to have that conversation that you're scared to have. But who do you go to get it all sorted out? Well, that's what I do. I sort it all out with people. I have founders, and you know, I was speaking to someone last night about it. It's quite ironic that they'll come because they want to sort the business out and get the business going, and they're kind of, you know, it's on top of them, and like, I've created this monster, and I'm trapped, and I'm just working all the time, and it's not, you know, I can't hardly breathe. It's like they've built this. In some cases, this business, and it's being successful, but they're like, how long can I sustain this workload? You know, so they'll work with me or come to me because they can come to me. They can tell me all the stuff they can't tell anybody else that they're dealing with. You know, you can't go to your employees and say, I'm really scared about this next move. You know, I mean, maybe you can. Or certainly don't want to burden their family with it. The family are already saying, you should just sell the business and get a job, for crying out loud. You're too stressed, you know?
Yes.
Or we don't see you. We never see you, you know? All those things that, you know, founders who are heroes, really, you know, they've created some idea and they've gone for it. And I love that. I love to coach someone who's up to something and they just need the support, the help, the direction, the clarity to actually accomplish it without killing themselves. You know,
I think that's
so. Yeah, that's the start, right? That's the start with who I work with, and what people are dealing with, and you know, what do you do? Well, if you've got that strategy that you employ or that act that you put on, and it's like a suit you put on, you got to work in that suit, and that's who you get to be at work. But then you come home and that's not you, and you know, your marriage is not working. You know, you can be that strong, driven, making stuff happen person, but it doesn't work in your marriage. You know, and as I was about to say right at the beginning, I have people come and work with me, and you go a month in, 2 months in, it's like, what's going on with you? And it's not about their work. It's not about it. It's the marriage is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Who do they talk to about that? I can't stop doing what I'm doing, and the wife is not supporting me, or the husband's not supporting me. I'm not getting the support I need. I'm getting grief. It's like it's pulling people apart. So fortunately, given the work I did in the past, I led to 90,000 people all over the world leading transformational programs, really dealing with the human condition. What's going on with you? What's going on with you? And giving you access to getting your marriage to work, your life to work, your health to work, your business to work. But I work with founders because I love founders, because they're heroes, man. They've got this vision. They want it to happen. They know where they want to go. Sometimes they get lost, and we have to get back to what is the vision here? What is it you really want to have happen? And get that clear, because once you're clear, the path to it becomes clear. And now the path to it becomes clear. Now it's just like, well, what actions are you going to take? This is all about performance. Are you going to perform, to produce the result? What actions need to happen? And they come up with their actions, and then I'm holding to account. They've got someone who's holding them to account to actually do what they said they're going to do, and be organized about doing it. Most people, it's amazing. I work with people, and they got to-do lists and post-it notes. That ain't going to work if you're going to be a world-class size company. You've got to get yourself scheduled. You've got to manage your schedule. You've got to follow your schedule. When it says exercise, that's when you exercise. No matter how much you hate exercise, if you don't do it, you're not going to be here much longer, So
I think,
long answer to your question.
It's a
But I
good
can
one.
talk for 3.5 days.
Well, I would hope so. I paid by the minute, right?
Yeah, I led programs.
When I've done a fair bit of coaching in the past, and one of the things I always start with is because people come and they talk about business, this, that, the other. Because I do like commercial stuff. My business is here, my sales team are all crap, whatever it is, and it's never that. In fact, I don't think I've ever actually had that be the actual problem. I've had all these salespeople and they're all rubbish. I said, okay then, no they're not. No they're not. And the first thing you start with is, how do you spend your time? What exercise are you getting? Do you sleep? What do you mean, do I sleep? Do you? Well, no, not very well. All right then.
Right.
And it is always the human element. It's the human condition.
Yeah.
You need to eat well, sleep well, exercise well, because you can't do a darn thing for anyone. How can you serve if there's nothing in you with which to serve? I don't understand that. I don't understand how, even today, with this surfeit of information that is available to us all, these most basic of things are still not fundamentally understood. I mean, I get that information is not a problem. Okay, access to information is not a problem. But the problem is exactly what you nailed, is that accountability and refusing to drift from piece to piece. In that, if information was not the problem, then we'd all be billionaires with six-pack abs. Because it's out there. This is how you become a billionaire, and this is where you get your six-pack abs from. Oh, okay then, Tuesday week, I'm done. Next week we'll be millionaires. So
my 6-part thing, my 5 keys to this, my steps to that, my blueprint to the other.
Another bloody framework.
But the problem is the person implementing that framework, or trying to take that,
they're not you. They're not you. That's the thing that I think is one of the things that struck me. In that, I'm 52 this year. Okay, I know I don't look it, not at all. If you're watching in black and white, you can't see the grey hairs. And I reckoned that for a very, very long time, I was paid for what I knew and what I could do, and a set of abilities that I built up and experience. And then I realized I was actually getting paid more for the questions I asked and helping people to come to conclusions themselves, which was in reality the leadership that I evolved towards, that idea of service. And that you're serving someone to help them do stuff, not necessarily tell them what to do, but understand what to do. Because if you can tell them what to do and they'll go off and they'll do it, fine. You can pay £5 an hour for that. But have them understand what to do, then that's how you get anything to change. They've got to want to change it, you know.
And take it even a step further. So I like what you're saying, and a step further, because I have a client, still my client in Egypt. He's based in Cairo, and he was complaining about all his staff, just like you were saying. They're not doing the job. It's like they're just showing up. They're not producing the result. I tell them what to do. I said, "There's a problem. You're telling them what to do." So rather than telling people what to do, get them clear. They're accountable for producing an outcome.
Yeah.
So if the outcome is, they produce, like his marketing department, produce all this social media stuff, but if it doesn't produce this many leads, then that isn't working. What they're accountable for is getting this many leads into the business.
Yeah.
That's what they're accountable for. Now, you're not here to tell them how to do that. That's why you've employed them. They're experts in marketing. I'm not an expert in marketing. You are. So how do you do that? I don't know. This is what you're accountable for. Can you accomplish that? Are you up for accomplishing that? Because that's what I'm going to hold you to account for, this result. So now they've got to figure out how to do it. So, and I'm here if you want to ask me advice. If you want to, how could I do this? I can kind of work it out with you, but it's down to you to produce that result. So are you willing to enter into that kind of contract? And if they're not, get somebody else who is, because you want people who self-generate. You want people who are accountable for the result. You don't want to have to go and, keep pushing them to do the result. That's terrible. That's you're having to work twice as hard with every single person you're employed. Yeah. People come and say, I'm being an employer rather than running my business. I'm too busy being an employer to build my business. Yeah. I'm dealing with all these people. So anyway, I gave him that, and it just turned his whole company around on a dime. It just got everybody clear what they're accountable for, and that's what they are being held to account for.
Everything has somebody's name on
everything.
it. Everything has somebody's name on it and a number against it,
Right. That's agreed upon. You both agree upon. Can you cause this? Yes, I can. All right, good. That's what I'm paying you for.
Off you go.
That's right.
Are you on track? No? Okay, what do you need? What do you need to get back on track? This. Well, okay, here you go. Are you on track? Yes, we are. Good. Done. Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. When you talked about it there, this whole idea of, I don't know, showing up strong, okay, because I see that a lot. And I've been a victim of it myself as well. You go in, you do this, stiff upper lip, ramrod straight back and all that. I mean, you're a former RAF pilot, old boy,
Exactly.
there must be a thing in there. I guess that's partly where that might have come from, because there's no admittance of failure. There's no admittance of, you can't not be strong. When people come and they try and show up strong, what are they doing wrong? What should they do instead?
It's about you said it earlier. It's about empowering other people. Really, what it is to be a really great leader is to have others be leaders around you. So the ultimate leadership is causing others to be leaders and allow them to be better than you at what they're doing, like the marketing. Like, you go and be awesome at it. The sales, go and be awesome at it. The whatever it is. I interviewed a guy on my podcast, which is the same title as the book, Free to Lead. And he's actually a very good friend of mine. He was a client for a while and then became a really good friend. And he runs one of the, if not the largest music production company in the UK. And his interview was great. It was gold. He said, I just look for people who are real experts in what they do. He says, and I'm okay being surrounded by all these people who are all better than me at what they do. And he says, you've got to be not threatened by that. You've got to be able to be with that. And that's why he's so successful. That's why he's so successful. And I think that's, pointing at what you're talking about. It's not about putting on an act. It's not like pretending you've got it all figured out. But it's about utilizing it. You've got a team to grow your business. That's what they want to do. They want to increase your sales. They want, because it's their company. If you work at a company for 40 years, you say, well, it's not my company. I just work there. No. This is my company. I own it. It's mine. This is where I work. This is where I spend 40% of my life. or 50% in some cases, or more in some cases, right? This is where I spend my life. This is my expression. This is what I'm doing. This is me. This is what I do. So you've identified with yourself as that, and that where you work is that. All right, good. Let's have this be really successful. Well, imagine being surrounded by a whole group of people. That's all they want. They want this thing to be amazing. They want it to serve people, to make a difference in people's lives, what they're doing. You know, if you can articulate what you're doing and connect it with a vision that everyone aligns with, it's plain sailing. All you've then got to do is just take care of people, make sure they got what they need, and
Not run out
go
of
and
money.
find more clients, go and talk to more clients, go and expand your business, work on growing the business, not having the business function,
Aye. And not run out of money in the process. That's a
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
the showing up strong thing. I'm going back on this because it
Yeah.
resonated. It really resonated with me there. And because my last job, last grown-up job before I disappeared and worked for myself, best
Yes.
thing that ever happened was being made redundant.
Yes.
And so just before that, I had a big all hands, full company all hands, and I was speaking on it. And I did a bit of a hooray job, hey, we're gonna fab, yeah, and all that sort of stuff. And half of them came up and said, "Oh, it's brilliant," because I'm a good public speaker.
Yeah.
And a couple of friendly folk came up and said, "The hell was that?" Right? Because they'd seen straight through.
Yeah.
What the hell was that? Where were you? And I'd spent the last few months as a spreadsheet jockey up my own backside, not out seeing customers, not talking to people, because it turned into a massive corporate thing. It was acquired by a big corporate. I was still navigating how you actually work in organizations like that. And I was trying to be something that I absolutely wasn't. So that showing up strong thing,
Yeah.
I don't think I burned out, but being made redundant at that point, I had all sorts of skin problems and all sorts of weird shit going on. But
Stress.
three
Yeah.
weeks, 3 weeks after I was made redundant, the stress, because being made redundant, even though I knew it was happening, because I was part of the process, we had all these people in the wrong place, and I was one of them. I was thinking, pay me some money and I'll piss off. So they said, have some money, piss off. Don't let the door hit your arse on the way out. They didn't. So the stress goes up, but then thump, falls. So I think I managed to avoid the actual burnout bit.
Hmm.
But why do so many people see or go through that burnout before the breakthrough?
If they have a breakthrough, they don't
If they
necessarily
have
have
a
a breakthrough,
breakthrough.
right? They like, get made redundant, or
There you go.
the company runs out of money. They got not enough cash flow in the company, or people leave, key people leave because you're not what I call being authentic. So you might be all strong, but you might also be another way, whatever that way, you might be all kind of like people pleasing and stuff. That's just as disempowering. It's not. So if you're not being your true self, then it's inauthentic, and it's not bad. It's just we all end up there at some point, right? I went to the Royal Air Force College Cranwell, and I had all this advice from my university colleagues that had gone through before me. Look, don't, because I was a bit of a gobby person, right? Be full of myself. Gonna just keep your head down, stay quiet, don't start speaking out and saying that. Just stay quiet, go through it, get through it, and then you can start your flying training. You're only doing your officer training because you have to be an officer to be a pilot, right? So I kept my head down, bit my tongue, didn't do anything, got through it all 2 weeks before. So after 16 weeks of all this running around and pine poles and shining your boots and, crazy stuff, no sleep for the whole time, I got pulled into the flight commander's office. He goes, "Well, Steele, I cannot recommend you for graduation. You're like a ghost. Officers need to speak up. Officers need to, be there." I didn't have the language I now have, but now I see. He was just saying, he says, So, you've got two options. You can leave. We'll let you leave. No problem. Leave the Air Force. Or you can do the course again. You can start again. I'm like, what? I just done 16 weeks. I was about to get out of jail. And now you want me to do it all again? But I wanted to be a pilot. And to be a pilot, you have to pass through officer training and become an officer. So I said, yeah, no, I'll do the recourse. I'll do it again. Got back to my room and it's like, wow, shit, that didn't work. Man, I'm trying to be what they thought I'm supposed to be like to get through this goddamn thing. Fine, screw that. I had stronger language, but screw that. I'm just going to be myself. I'll just be myself and let the chips fall where they do, because that didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then 18 weeks later, I graduated with a leadership trophy. So I'm just myself, and the flight commander, there's a different flight commander, but one of the things they had us do, which was different to when I first went off to Scotland, and it was really a blizzard. We're in a blizzard going over the Cairngorms, right? So it's a real peak. And I got my compass. It was my turn to lead that day, right? And I got my compass and my mitten, and I had to keep scraping the ice off to see where we were going. I was following this thing. I got a trail of like 14 guys behind me, and there's one really slow. I kept having to bring him up to the front and like, come on, keep going. We had to keep going. I mean, it literally was really bad conditions. Anyway, the flight commander he said, Steele, I don't like you, but on that mountain, I would have followed you anywhere. So I got the trophy, because I was being myself. I was just being me, And my book is all about you being you. But the big question is, by the time you're an adult, you've forgotten who you are. You don't know who you are. Sometimes you're this and sometimes you're that. But who is the real you? So we want to get you to get. That's why the book's in two parts. The first part is, taking all these facades away so that you get back to your real essence. And in Arabic, it's called fitra. So it's called the fitra method. And I didn't get this word till I went to the Middle East and started doing leadership programs out there, because it's the word that really works. It doesn't translate directly, but it's like your true essence, like what God breathed into Adam, breathed in fitra. But also you can put a seed in soil, it grows into a perfect tree. That's fitra. It doesn't need anyone's advice. It doesn't need it already knows. You put the same seed in a different soil, in a different environment, it grows up perfectly and in harmony with whatever environment it's in. That's also fitra. So it's being its true self no matter what. So use that metaphor for leadership, being your true self no matter what.
There's the hurdle, and I think there's a thing about authenticity in general, is what happens if you're a bit of an arse? I mean, the dismantling piece, the first part of your book, dismantling before creating.
Yes.
In the void, the spirit hovering over the waters before the creation, the dismantle. How do you get back to the true self? How do you find yourself, oh wise one? What is that?
Yeah, well, it's discovering where you know. Your answer to being authentic is to when it's not the true you. So we used to have this phrase at my last company, the only time, I don't know if it's, anyway, it was the only time you're being authentic is when you're being authentic about being inauthentic.
The only time you're being authentic is when you're being authentic about being inauthentic. Okay, so when you are actively faking it.
No. When you're acknowledging that you've been faking it.
Oh, when you're okay.
So if I'm acknowledging, look, I've been an asshole here. I've just been selfish. I've been out to prove I'm better than you. And, that's just automatic behavior for me. I so apologize. It doesn't work. I'm just going to be your partner from now on. You see, I had to be authentic there about the asshole I've been,
So
and it takes courage to do that. But when you've done it a few times, you just get used to it. And it just strips away all that having to fake anything. Yeah. And rather than it making you look weak, it takes people get, when it's real authenticity, it has a certain ring to it. And that's real strength to be able to do that. But, you know, to start with, it's really difficult to start with. When you first do it and you go, oh my God, I am such an ass. Oh man, you know? My first big insight when I did the program I ended up leading, but when I did it, I was come out of the Air Force, I was an airline pilot, and I was sitting in this room. I thought, God, all these people have got problems. I'm in the wrong room. And then I was like horrified for a moment. It's like, oh, what if there's somebody here that knows me? They're going to think I've got problems. Oh, shit. And I kind of tried to look around the room without bringing attention to myself, you know, see if there's anybody I knew, you know. and then in that same actual conversation, I got, God, I'm just so judgmental. And I'm so superior. I think I'm like better than everybody else. And the people I didn't like the most were those that were superior, that look down the nose at you and think they're better than you. And I'm like, I'm being that. Oh, man. Now, that's news to me, but everyone else knows that. They all know that. They see you. You just didn't know that they see. So when you go and tell people, say, God, I'm just being so superior and like judgmental of everyone. You go, yeah, no, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry I did that. I apologize. I'm not committed to that because now I can see it. I can be responsible for it.
So you start from a place of humility more than anything else.
Totally.
Humility, courage, desire. I think the thing, if you said it takes a degree of courage and to be that sort of self-aware. Because I think if you decide I'm going to become self-aware and then you realize I'm an arse, oh good God. You have
that's when you know you're onto something. Those are the best insights. When you get, oh shit, this is terrible. Good. Because you know, the real you is not that. It's just who you've ended up being in life. You're being that way. But it's not the real you. It's just, and you can be anyway. Yeah. Except now you can't, you're kind of limited to a certain few ways of being and acting that become what you call you. This persona.
It's the thing I talk to my kids about. It's their behavior and their choices, not who they are. So you should never say to someone, you are a pain in the arse. You are, late. It's your choice. The thing that you did, you made a bad choice. You behaved inappropriately. What you said was, unkind. Yeah. And I don't think that's you. I think you're different. I think you're better than that. And there's, it's all that sort of stuff. It's most of my leadership stuff comes from dealing with my kids, frankly. There's no better place. So the first part is
test you.
They do the little sods, I tell you. And then they feed all you. They come back. They come back at you. So I mean,
it's not what you say; it's what you do. So they're watching your actions. They're watching your behavior, and don't do as I say, do as I do. It's just the worst.
That is. Second part of the book, then. So the first part is deconstruction, is pulling things apart to reveal the inner you that is hopefully the actual you. What happens next?
Yeah, well, just more accurately, what you're saying is distinguishing your limiting beliefs in all these different aspects of being human. See, ultimately, if you get all the way back to the beginning of where you started being that way, something happened. Something happened. It could be a tragic thing or for everyone else, an innocent thing, And in those moments, you make decisions, but you don't realize it. You see, you have a thought, you go, oh, yeah, that's true. My dad doesn't love me. And that then becomes for you the truth. So I call that a limiting belief. It's now a belief. It's not actually the truth. It's in the logic of a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old that's true. But then it slips into the background. So it's now in the subconscious, if you like, okay, running the show. And you don't even know it's running you. So it's being able to reveal the limiting beliefs that we all have. I don't care if you're really super successful in life. Consider that you've become that way to make up for something you believe about yourself that's not that great, or you're not that good, or you're not this, or you're not that, or etc. So you can be this to make up for that. So you become this, produce loads of results out of it, but you notice the results never actually fix you. It's never enough. So what do? Produce bigger results, more results. Keep going, hoping one day it's going to work out, and it never does. because it's built on this foundation that's a false foundation, this limiting belief that you have. It's not like you're stupid. It's not like, you know, it's not that. There's a way you see it, and it's interesting that you see it that way, isn't it? And we get all the way back to, oh God, that's why I see it that way. That's why I'm so competitive all the time. I'm making up for, I decided when my dad said we couldn't afford a third baby, and then mum got pregnant, and we had two boys, so we were looking forward to a girl, and you popped out, and I made all that mean they didn't want me. They really didn't want me because they wanted a girl. Right, I'm the best. And my life was about proving I'm the best. I didn't know that's what was driving me. It produced loads of results. It just never satisfied me. It was never enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It always looked like it was going to be. You know, become a fast jet pilot in the Royal Air Force, get your wings. If I get my wings on fast jets, then I've made it, right? And you get your wings, put them on, and you look around, everyone else is wearing them. So, oh, I don't feel any different. I don't even feel like a real pilot yet. It's like, you know, I don't have the experience yet. So obviously I need the experience, and it never ends.
Yeah, it's never enough. It's never enough. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's built on a foundation that's a false foundation, a misconception of life, or an interpretation that's disempowering.
I mean, I think when I have reflected, and again, it's this, not the midlife crisis or anything like that, but it's this momentary change of attitude, change of frame in trying to work out where you're going, where your value is, where your value will be. Is it, should we be retired by now? You know, my mum retired at 55. She was a teacher. She retired. There's no way in hell I'm going to do that. I'll be bored shitless and poor.
Exactly.
Don't forget the poor, right? Don't have teacher's pension. But on that reflective journey, because I genuinely believe that, you know, wisdom is knowledge applied, reflected upon, and shared. You know? So it's that trium vitae, quattro vitae, whatever. And the reflection piece there is, I think mine is something like I need approval from people. I need well done. And it's, how often do you get that, right? I never get that. Very occasionally. And sometimes you go after it, you go chasing it, or I go chasing it, and then you realize, oh, no. The minute you let your ego make decisions for you, bad news.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Yeah.
You know? So that's a kind of a limiting belief, is that, oh, I don't know.
Well, yeah, if we had the conversation to get back to it, I recommend you read the book because, you know,
it's on order. It's on order. I'm just late.
Yeah, I did the audiobook, right? I spent a week doing the audiobook, right? And then I spent about 3 weeks correcting the editor because he joined things together. Sometimes it wasn't quite, wait, I didn't say that. Wait. I had to get in there. 147 edits. But, you know, it's all a process. I mean, it took 40 months to write the book, and I wrote it so that I really, it occurred to me that just reading the book won't do it, you know? I lead courses to people and I'm working with them, and then they go off and take some action, like call their dad and get that thing sorted out, or call their mother, or call their wife and acknowledge this, and this, right? And it resolves everything. But you could read it in a book and you go, oh yeah, that's a good idea, yeah, and you don't do anything. So it's not going to alter you. So I've got to have them interact with themselves and read the book, not just read the book, because you can read it and go, yeah, that's good, and nothing happens. And I've read loads of books that I can hardly remember anything about them. You know, oh yeah, I remember that thing, you know. So I wanted it to be a book you could pick up and read it again and again and again and go back to, and something's showing up that didn't show up before, but now it's showing up, but it's from your past. So there's exercises in the book. You know, you ask yourself this question and this question, and if you do that authentically, you will reveal something that's at the bottom of, for example, in your case, what you just said, you know, what was it you just said? You said,
I look for approval. I look for approval.
Looking for approval.
Rather
right?
than looking in, you're looking out.
You know, how does that feel? And then what does that remind you of growing up, right? And then we'd have a conversation about what actually happened. No, that's all interpretation. That's the interpretation. It's important. We're going to get to that. But what actually happened? Oh, my dad said this. Okay, good. And what did you think to yourself when he said that? They didn't really want me. I'm not wanted. I'm going to be the best. Yeah. And then that's your whole story. Your whole life is built on that. You know, a 3-year-old decided your life.
Well, you know,
In
sometimes
my
I think
case.
there have to be worse people than a 3-year-old to decide your life. Sometimes they make good choices.
Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah. Awesome.
I can ask one last thing. No, a couple of last things. Number one is where can we find you when we need you?
Yeah. Willsteele.com.
It's a good
Will
place.
Steele's all one word.
Link will be in the description.
STEEL. Will Steele. All right. Great.com. And I really I just want everyone to read the book because I know it works. I know it works. I've led programs to 90,000 people. Well, close to 100,000 now. I've been leading for the last 5 years in the Middle East, the last 3 years in the Middle East. And I know the book works. I've got evidence for it. You know, my own father told my eldest brother he's never told in his life. He told him he loved him. And that's monumental. At 86 years old, to suddenly find the courage to do that, having never done it, it's altered his life. It's altered my brother's life. It's altered life at home there. You know, so if he can get it, anyone can get it. I promise you. And I've got lots of other stories of people having massive breakthroughs just from reading it. So I know it works. I'm totally 1000% confident. And I don't even care about the money. I want people to read it and action it and alter their lives in a good way. So, you know, that would be my, you know, reach out to me too. Yeah. I only work with people that are entrepreneurs, founders, who are really up to, they've got some game they're really out to accomplish. Like you know, I have one client that's reforesting forestry around the world that needs reforesting, right? And she's altering the planet that way. And that's awesome. I got another guy that's getting all foreign investors to come into his country. It's Paraguay, because people in Paraguay can't afford to buy their own properties. So he's getting foreign investors come in, they build all these properties so that the people got places to go, and the foreign investors get really good return on their money, and they get all the rent and all of that stuff. And he obviously makes a lot of money building the buildings. But it all works. It's like you said, you know, real sales is everybody wins. You're serving people to get what they really want. And obviously you're making a sale at the same time. So those are the kind of people I like to work with, you know. So if you're in that category and you go, oh, I think I'd like to work with Will, good, reach out to me. You can get me at the website, willsteele.com.
If there was one message you wanted to leave the planet with, you could write it on the moon. It'd be seen tonight, full moon.
I think it's just start. It's either just start. That was one of the best coaches I ever got. I asked Will Earhart, who set up this whole enterprise, and they're all doing all this. I said, how do you do all that? How do you come up with all this stuff? He said, I don't know. That's me. You don't know. You're the guy that did it. Said, I don't know. You just start. And I hated that coaching, but it's the coaching. It's the coaching. You just start. Like you didn't know how to do podcasts before you started. You just started. Yeah. Okay, now look at you. You're doing great, you know? So that would be the best coaching I would give to anybody. But I remember looking at a poster. I was 15, and I somehow managed to win this competition to go on an outward bound course. And it was all about leadership as well. It was great. 3 weeks in Wales. But there was this poster, and there was a picture of this moon. It says, only those who risk going too far find out how far they can go. And that just stuck with me. I was just like, well, we might as well go for it. I never thought I could be a pilot. I never thought they'd let me in the Air Force. I thought, well, you're going to let me in? Me? But that post was, oh, just go for it anyway and see what happens, you know? And then you get, you know. So it'd be one of those two.
So or both. Either just start, stop drifting, make a decision, get on with it. Just start.
Yeah, take action. Without action, nothing happens. Just start. If it's the wrong action, you can correct.
It's an experiment.
Yeah.
Call it an experiment. Or you never know how far you'll get until you actually try. There we are.
Yeah. Well, only those who risk going too far.
That's it. Risk
find out how far they can go. You got to risk going too far.
Push it too far. I love it. Yeah. Pedal to the metal. And on that, I have to say, Will Steele, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure, Paul. Thank you.